Hello, trading is closed on October 4th, 2018. Last call said yesterday's pattern was negative unless we gapped up, took out this high. Lower prices should print. Here was the target. Turned out to be a resistance level. We came nowhere near this one. As we said, gapping smartly in the undesired direction takes this off the table. You recall back on October 1st, I was looking for a big drop, and so if it didn't happen, next most likely was we closed a little change. Had the drop the day afterwards. Well, we closed a little change for 2 straight days and finally got the drop today. This could be a very significant drop, as we'll see in just a minute. This number gets added to the list, but if we're at a major change in trend, typically MEJT leaves a failed target. In fact, if it does not leave a failed target, you're probably not at a change in trend. During the day, while the market's dropping, MEJT said ultimately higher prices would print, and this drop was false and wouldn't stick, and that worked. Well, we've been looking for a top somewhere in this area. The general idea was that this wave was an impulse, and all this business we've had since late January actually has been overlapping corrective waves, and there's no impulsive fifth wave in there. I'm now going to take the question mark off, and we'll say in gray C, of some degree we've completed an A or B, and we should get a blue C down comparable in magnitude to this blue A. I think we can identify this now as an ending diagonal triangle. I'm certain there are still people who will try to say we have an impulse here. If they can find a way to count it without breaking rules, that's fine by me. I think if you have to stretch the interpretation is probably wrong. And this whole thing, as I've been saying, is a series of threes. I did want confirmation. Confirmation to me was going under this price. This is the low of the actual trading range of the bar, which took out the prior high. So we have the confirmation I want. And we have a very significant trend line going back to the beginning of the rally in 2016. And this one goes all the way back to 2009, each of them banging right on this high, which I think will hold. Now, we originally said this was my candidate for the end of the leg. I still think it's the end of gray B. We got stopped out, but I now think this is the high of the move, and this is A and this is B of gray C. If I'm right, we have quite a drop ahead of us. If I'm wrong, you'll know by overtaking this high, which is about 40 some points away, 1.5%. That's the risk. But just because I think we have a big drop, it doesn't mean we're going down every day. It doesn't mean we're going down tomorrow. We gapped down, hit a series of lower lows, closed over all of them. It's a positive pattern. Unless we invalidate it by gapping and taking out this lows, I expect to see higher prices tomorrow. The count from the all-time high isn't clear, but I'm counting this as an ending diagonal triangle. And if that is the count, we should at least come up to this high, which futures are doing already, or at least pretty close to it. Just because I think we'll trade higher, it doesn't necessarily mean that we'll close higher, but the pattern for tomorrow tends to have an early high and a late high, and most of the time we'll close at the high of the day. So even though I think today's action confirms the wave count we've been using, and even though it implies much lower prices are coming our way. I think as long as we can just avoid negating this leg rally by undercutting this low early, as long as we can do that, I look for higher prices, not always a higher close, but a good chance of a higher close tomorrow. And that's today's call.